Your God is dead and no one cares. If there is a hell, I'll see you there. Well, I think first of all, this clearly shows that God isn't dead. And all the pickets outside really show that people do care. So whoever you are, Anonymous, we'll see you in heaven, because I don't believe in hell.
That was the thing where it said, I don't want a fascist God. Well, I felt like writing one, neither do I. Yes. There's nothing wrong with that sentiment at all.
Yeah.
And even, if you look at like the Psalms and things like that, we actually get writers actually kind of railing against God and saying, why is this happening? And expressing anger is a legitimate emotion as well, and it's right that it should be part of the Bible, I think. Because there's time and time again where anger is expressed at injustice.
No, I wasn't surprised. I'm not at all surprised by the action of those who are not involved in the Metropolitan Community Church. I'm not at all. I'm Presbyterian in background. I know a lot about religions in Scotland, and there's the fundamentalism and the conservatism, and I'm not surprised at the reaction that it got, but I'm not surprised at the comments that were put down, because if you look at the way, my perception of how religion is perceived in Scotland today by young people, they are not respectful of the Bible. And if somebody invites them to write comments, some will write some very insightful comments, and some will write some very abusive comments. And as a teacher, if I was in my class and I left out a Bible, I know, fine, I'm going to come back to it, and somebody's going to have written something. And it might be derogatory, and it might not be, but that is life. And the fact that we can do that in this society, I think, is great.
Because when I hear the word graffiti, that often conjures up for me images of people wanting ownership of something. Is that, we hear about, tagging things as a subversive way of saying, I own this. You write on a public building, not because you're being bad, because you're saying, well, I own this. This belongs to me. I belong to this city. I'm part of a culture here. And that thing about actually, writing your name, writing a scribble, writing a ganja leaf even on the Bible, is saying, I've tagged this. This belongs to me. This is part of who I am. And again, the idea of drawing hearts, because kids do that, don't they? In school, in books, in textbooks, they draw little hearts and draw faces. And it just makes the Bible seem so like part of ordinary life, that you just draw a little face in it and just scribble on it.
And part of the problem, though, about this whole, the Bible's not allowed to be part of ordinary life.
Exactly. I think that was
supposed to be set apart, set aside, set somewhere else. You're not allowed to do things like the Bible, which I just
Yeah.
I think very much it depends on who. Is it the angry person who is angry at all this Bible has done to them, whether they're gay or whatever, or is it actually, as you said, there's a pen, there's a paper, I'm going to draw something, hey, it's on the Bible, double plus.
What the whole piece was, the power of the word and wanting to be part of that, and saying LGBT people feel excluded from that, so the whole purpose was feel part of it, be part of the word. And of course for Christians that's a double meaning, because it's the printed word and it means the person Jesus. So when we say be part of the word, you don't know if we've got a capital W or not with it. So I thought that was, come on, join in.
They don't have a chance to put down how they're feeling about the scriptures, because they don't see it in their everyday life. No, they don't. I mean, chances are some of the people who come into that, if they came into that exhibition, it would be the first time they've looked at the scriptures for many, many years, probably since when they did RE with me.
See, maybe I shouldn't admit this on camera, but I thought, what a great way to get a Bible into the public domain.
Absolutely.
You used me!
But there were dialogues going on. It's like I was going in before it got behind glass and before anything too offensive got written in. I was going in twice a week, and there, again against Leviticus, someone has written, "Why is there no mention of this?" And I've written, because this is about temple prostitution, not loving same-sex relationships, and there were miscellaneous dialogues going on in this book.
Wow.
And maybe the people who were being miscellaneous actually needed to be, because it would have been, judging by all the hate emails we got, it would have been very easy to find us and have that dialogue with us.
But mainly through the blogging you've seen online and some of the stupid comments people on the comments the Catholic Church made, and other people made, about, it shows me how much discrimination, how much prejudice there is against Islam and Muslims, about how there's assumption that because it wasn't done to the Quran, we're all guilty of being cowards, because apparently if we did it to the Quran, we would have had a head cut off. And that shows very little tolerance for Islam, the fact that there's a diverse community of Muslims.
Comment to Francis Strange, but they're just well done for having the courage to show us.
I've got another dialogue one where somebody has started off with, "Father, forgive them, they know what they do," quoting from the Bible.
They know not.
They know as well, yeah. And then it ends with somebody saying, "People who let this get to them lack the faith they say they have." And anyway, it was an open invitation, wasn't it? Jesus action figure. I have no idea what Jesus action figure means. Can you help me work out what this chap means? True religion despises exclusion. Jesus annoyed the religious leaders too, and they killed him for it. Radical inclusiveness is God's agenda, and it can't be stopped by a wooden cross, in brackets, or a perspex box. I think that's incredibly. Jamie, a Christian and church leader. Oh, I think that's amazing. I want to read this one. This one is just gorgeous. Is this the new age? The Lord said, "Go forth and replace yourselves, or go forth and walk a celibate pathway, or go forth and subdivide. But there is no longer any need for you, my children, to multiply. But please go forth and be true unto yourselves. And if possible, please plant fruit trees at Christmas time. They are cheaper than Norwegian spruce trees, and they help the children grow up strong and the birds to sing. Go forth and explore this world, for it is full of many miracles. You are one of them."
That's yeah, I think it's random.
They were all placed in random. Unfortunately, that's just how they were ended up doing.
That's how they should be.
We have a rule book to live by. You cannot pick and choose. I think the artists profess too much, a sign of some guilt. Homosexuality in all forms is shown to be wrong so many times in the rule book. Afraid so, it's a sin. There you go. 3
times in the Bible, I think it's...
Yeah. And how many times is theft and murder?
I like crayons.
I like crayons where...
Yes, I like that one too.
Oh yes, there should have been crayons.
There should have been crayons.
Oh, perhaps not.
I was going to read this one. This is by a Reverend McRae, whose first name I can't either read or pronounce. Rory McRae. The church has historically excluded us. The Bible itself does not. God loves the LGBT community. A parallel lesson is Jonah's attitude to Nineveh and God's reaction to Jonah. God wants the LGBT community to know this good news is Jesus. And it's just the world's shortest, concisest sermon. Rory McRae's done a sermon in 100 letters.
Yeah.
The other thing is, besides the whole LGBT homosexuality in the Bible thing, there is that whole other side. Somebody has written there, I feel ignored by you, Father. That's nothing about sexuality or anything else.
Yeah, I look at all the work out that, you know, not just me, but all the work that youth workers do, and in the space of a couple of weeks, that this has done more than what I've ever done in 15, 20 years of youth work.
What do you think that if all of this collection of words was somehow lost for thousands of years and found again as a new kind of Bible?
I think it'd be fantastic.
I'm a bit worried about the religion that might spring up.
There is that.
On the 25th day of December, we must plant fruit trees. And then you'll have, you know what, right, if that happened, and on the 25th of December we all took this lovely person's word about planting fruit trees, there will then rise up a group of people who say, your fruit tree isn't good enough. You haven't borne enough fruit. You must have sinned because you're growing pears when you should be growing plums. And because there's something, I think it's something inherently controlling about human beings that we have to criticise to make ourselves feel better.
I think how many people have maybe grown up in a situation where they maybe are really interested in being a Christian, but because they're not allowed to question or ask certain kinds of, explore certain kinds of issues, you know, in their church community by their parents, they just say, well, then I'm not a Christian, I can never be part of this. And if, you know, yeah.
But is it not just also the fact that if you don't deem yourself to be Christian within a Christian society, I don't know how to explain this, is that whole thing of you're not allowed to be angry. There's no way. I think especially if you come from a Christian society that's condemned you, whether that's an actual condemnation or a perceived condemnation. I think this is fun.
It's absolutely amazing. I can't answer the question whether or not it's art, but to me it's church. The part what you just said about that one there, the pastoral responses and the healing.
For me, it's the whole thing of, you know, the questions of, is this art? Well, that's up to you to decide. As in, you, the individual, it's art or it's not art. Is this church? There's a whole community in this book. That's church. There's a community of people who've got a sense of humour, who've laughed, who've written things that are... One of the things you missed when you out was somebody's written something that they've been waiting for I don't know how many years to write and put it in a public space anonymously, and that's part of their healing, and that's also part of the function of church. Church is about community, and in this book you have a whole community. You have diverse opinions, you have people having all sorts of relationships with God through the Bible, and that's what church is. It's just that in this respect we don't know who they are.
Whether it was graffiti, look, I can do this, or some of the painful words, I don't want a fascist God, these are coming from a place of anger. And so the people writing it are angry at Christian leaders or Christian churches. And then you have the Christian churches being angry at them for being angry at them. And so few people actually did a pastoral response and went, what does that person feel who actually felt they had to write that in the Bible? To be heard, they had to write, I don't want a fascist God in the Bible. They've been told God's a fascist. They've not read it in that book. This is what they've been told. And I think that holds up a mirror to Christianity and says, we're presenting God as a fascist who controls you, who doesn't let you have any freedom. The God that people are perceiving is all controlling, yet I believe God is liberating.